Hello class, this is our second video on special right triangles. If you remember, in the first video we talked about 45, 45, 90 right triangles, and they had two ratios. A hypotenuse is equal to the leg times the square root of 2, and the leg is equal to the hypotenuse divided by the square root of 2. Well, in this video we're going to talk about the 30, 60, 90 right triangle. Well, if you remember correctly, I told you that there are two questions that you ask in the last video. First question is, what do I know? Second question is, what do I want to know? And the what do I want to know question is what's going to determine which ratio that you're going to use. Now, that's going to become very important in this video because there are 4 ratios that you have to deal with in this video. So let's look at the 30, 60, 90 right triangle. Well, here is one. So we know here's our right angle. This angle right here is going to be our 30 degree. And this angle right here is going to be our 60 degree. Now we need to understand some vocabulary when we talk about a 30, 60, 90 right triangle. Well, we know the side opposite the right angle is always going to be the hypotenuse. It still is. It's not ever going to change. Now, these other two legs, they now actually have a name. Okay, so the leg that is opposite the 30 degree angle is going to be called the short leg. And we're going to identify that as SL. So the leg opposite the 60 degree angle is going to be called the long leg. And again, we're going to reference that as LL. So here are our ratios that we're going to have. The long leg is going to be equal to the short leg times the square root of 3. And conversely, the short leg will be equal to the long leg divided by the square root of 3. Whereas the hypotenuse is going to be equal to the short leg times 2, and the short leg is going to be equal to the hypotenuse divided by 2. Now, I hope you notice that the short leg is in everything, because in a 30, 60, 90 right triangle, well, those of you that are not quite that tall, you're going to appreciate this one, because shorty is king. I know for me, it makes me feel really good. So let's see if we can do a problem or two. So here's our first question. Okay, so what do we know? Well, if we look at this, we've got the side opposite the 30 degree angle. So that's going to be the short leg. So that means the X down here is going to be the long leg. And Y, of course, will be the hypotenuse. I highly encourage you, until you get used to doing these kind of problems, that you label your parts. And that will help you answer your questions. So the first question I want us to find is the hypotenuse. So we ask ourselves two questions. What do I know? Well, I know the short leg. What do I want to know? I want to know the hypotenuse. So that means whenever I look at my ratios, I need a hypotenuse equals formula, and I need the short leg to be in our formula. So I want to know the hypotenuse, and it's got to have the short leg in it. So that means I'm going to use this ratio right here. Hypotenuse is equal to short leg times 2. So we're going to do Y is equal to short leg, which in this case is 9, times 2. So Y is equal to 18, and in this case, meters. So Y is 18 meters. Okay, now we always go back to the original information. So we go back to short leg. Okay, so I know the short leg, but this time what do I want to know? I want to know the long leg. So I need a long leg equals formula. So do I have a long leg equals formula? Yes, I do. Long leg equals short leg times the square root of 3. So long leg is X equals short leg times square root of 3. So X is approximately equal to, and then we get our calculator out, 9 times the square root of 3, enter, and we end up with 15.58, which we know is going to be 15.6. So 15.6, and in this case, meters. So X is equal to 15.6 meters. Now, do those numbers make sense? Well, let's see. Is the hypotenuse the longest side? Yes. Is the short leg the short side? Yes. And is the long leg in between the short leg and the hypotenuse? Yes, it is. So mathematically, it does make sense. So let's look at another one. Okay, so here we go. Now, here's our 30. Here's our 60. So that means Y is our short leg and X is our long leg. Okay, so what do we want to know? Well, in this particular one, I want to know the short leg, and I know the hypotenuse. So if we were to go back to our ratios, the only thing I can go to from the hypotenuse is the short leg. Okay, so if you need to find the long leg, you're going to have to go through the short leg. Okay, so we ask ourselves two questions. What do I know? Hypotenuse. What do I want to know? Short leg. So I need a short leg equals formula. Well, we've got two of them. Short leg equals long leg divided by square root of 3, or short leg is equal to hypotenuse divided by 2. Well, what's the other thing I know? The hypotenuse. So that means I need this formula. Okay, so short leg, which is y, is equal to the hypotenuse, in this case 12, divided by 2. So y is equal to 6, and in this case, inches. So our short leg is going to be 6 inches. Now I need to go to long leg. Okay, so we look for our long leg formula. I want long leg. I know short leg. So what formula am I going to do? I need the long leg equals formula. So long leg is equal to short leg times the square root of 3. So x is equal to short leg, 6 times the square root of 3. So we know this one's going to be an approximate. So again, I pull up my calculator. So 6 times square root 3, enter. Oops, and I typed something in wrong there. 6 times square root 3, enter. And we get 10.39, which we know is going to be 10.4. And in this case, again, inches. Okay, so do my numbers make sense? My hypotenuse is the longest, my short leg is the shortest, and my long leg is in between. So it does make sense. So what I'd like for you to do is, oh, this one's kind of tough. Oh, what about that one? Well, is that any different? No, it's really not. So let's label our parts, and then I'm going to have you answer this one by yourself. Okay, so I know the y, since it's opposite the 30, is going to be the short leg. I know the side opposite the 60 is going to be the long leg. And I know my x is going to be the hypotenuse. So we ask ourselves two questions. What do I know? What do I want to know? Well, I know long leg, and I want to know short leg. So pause the video. Let's see if you can set the math up and type it into your calculator correctly. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so let's see how you did. So again, I need a short leg formula. So I need short leg equals, and I know the long leg. So what is my ratio? Okay, so I'm looking for a short leg. So I've got two formulas, short leg and short leg here. But what do I know? I know long leg, so that means I need this formula. Long leg divided by square root of 3. So let's go back to the problem. So short leg, y, is equal to long leg, 5 times the square root of 3, divided by the square root of 3. Now, hopefully some of you kind of pick up on what's going on here, but let's type it into the calculator just to be on the safe side for those that aren't quite clear on it. So 5 times square root 3, get out of the radical, divided by square root 3, enter. Look at there, y is equal to 5. So what really happened to my square roots of 3? They canceled out. And we ended up with our y equaling 5 inches. So short leg is equal to 5 inches. Now I need to go to the hypotenuse. Okay, so what do I know? I know short leg. What do I want to know? Hypotenuse. So pause the video and find for me the hypotenuse, and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so let's see how you did. So I'm looking for hypotenuse, so I go back to my ratios, and it says the hypotenuse is equal to short leg times 2. So x is equal to short leg times 2. So what is x equal to? 10 inches. And that's how you do 30, 60, 90 right triangles. All we're doing is using these ratios. So again, we ask ourselves two questions. What do I know? What do I want to know? What do I want to know determines which formula you're going to use. Okay? So, until next time, I'll talk to you later.